What if a game could trap you, change you, and kill you before you ever logged out? Most people thought Greed Island was just a game. Rare, expensive, mysterious, a fantasy world hidden inside a console no one fully understood. But the people who entered it knew the truth. This wasn't just a game. It was real. And once you stepped inside, the rules of the outside world stopped mattering. Because Greed Island wasn't built for ordinary players. It was built for hunters, for people willing to risk everything. And Gon Freecss entered that world for one reason only: to find his father. Not money, not fame, not adventure, just answers. Because Gon Freecss had never been a normal father. He was a legend, the kind of man who disappeared so completely that even finding traces of him felt impossible. But Ging left something behind, a clue, a game. And Gon believed that if he could clear Greed Island, he might finally get closer to the man who abandoned him. So Gon and Killua entered the game together, and the moment they arrived, everything felt wrong. The air was real, the wind was real, the danger was real. This wasn't pixels, this was another world. Players fought, stole, killed. Not because they had to, because the game rewarded it. Greed Island worked differently from any game ever created. Every item existed as a card. Weapons, treasures, rare abilities, even living creatures. Some cards were harmless. Others were powerful enough to make people kill for them. And to clear the game, a player had to collect 100 specific cards. Simple in theory, impossible in reality. Because Greed Island wasn't designed to be fair. It was designed to test people. Their strength, their intelligence, their greed. And from the very beginning, Gon and Killua were being watched. There were players who had spent years trapped inside the game. Players who stopped seeing it as entertainment. Players who became monsters. And the worst among them was a man named Genthru. At first, he didn't seem dangerous, polite, friendly, calm. But that made him worse. Because the most terrifying people are rarely the loudest. They're the ones who smile while destroying lives. Genthru had earned a nickname inside the game, the Bomber. And people whispered that name like a curse, because once he touched someone, their death was already decided. But Gon didn't care about fear. That was what made him dangerous too. He wasn't reckless because he wanted power. He was reckless because once he chose a goal, nothing mattered more than reaching it. Not pain, not risk, not even himself. And Greed Island pushed that part of him harder than ever. The game forced Gon and Killua to grow. Every challenge demanded something new: strategy, discipline, creativity. They trained relentlessly, not just to survive, but to evolve. And that was when they met Biscuit Kruger. At first glance, she looked harmless, small, cute, almost ridiculous. But appearances meant nothing in the world of hunters. Because Biscuit was terrifying. A master Nen user, experienced, ruthless, brilliant. And under her training, Gon and Killua became stronger than they had ever been before. Not through shortcuts, not through luck, through pain. Greed Island slowly revealed what kind of people they really were. Killua learned how deeply fear had shaped him. Gon revealed something darker, something obsessive. The closer he got to his father, the more intense he became. And that intensity frightened people, because Gon's kindness was real, but so was the emptiness that appeared when something stood in his way. Greed Island wasn't just testing strength, it was exposing people. And eventually, everything led back to Genthru. The Bomber had been manipulating players from the beginning, using fear to control them, using alliances only when convenient. And when he no longer needed people, he destroyed them, literally. The final confrontation wasn't heroic, it wasn't clean, it was brutal. Because Gon realized something important. To defeat someone stronger than him, he would have to risk everything, even his own body, even his own future. And during the fight, Gon did something that shocked everyone. He willingly sacrificed himself just to create an opening. Not because he thought he would win, but because he refused to lose. That was the terrifying thing about Gon. His determination looked inspiring, until it became self-destructive. But in the end, Genthru lost, and after everything they survived, after every battle, every sacrifice, every lesson, Gon finally cleared Greed Island, the game his father helped create, the world designed to shape him. And at the very end, Gon was given a choice, a single card, a chance to finally reach Ging. But even then, Greed Island had one final trick. Because Ging was never the kind of person who made things easy. The game wasn't just a clue. It was a test, a way of asking one question. How far was Gon willing to go? Just to reach someone who left him behind. And maybe the strangest part wasn't that Gon kept chasing him. It was that Ging knew he would. because Greed Island was never really about winning. It was about understanding the kind of person Gon would become. A hunter, someone willing to throw himself into danger without hesitation, someone capable of incredible kindness and terrifying obsession. And by the time the game ended, Gon wasn't the same boy who entered it. Because Greed Island didn't just change players, it revealed who they already were. And for Gon, that truth would become far more dangerous later on. But that was only the beginning.